Yeah, so let's get going into Royal Rumble season talking about one of the most forgettable SummerSlams of all time. That makes sense.
Yeah,
That makes
yeah.
sense.
Also, hi everyone. I know it's been a minute, but real life happened. We're in a show right now. We're in Tech Week, and then I got
hmm
sick. So thanks for being patient with us. We are ready to talk some wrestling.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
because we need it. We need some wrestling. The professional wrestling world has been overtaken with talks of stupid sales, and unfortunately, the passing of Jay Briscoe, one of the most legendary Ring of Honor
Yeah.
wrestlers in history. That was we send our condolences to the Pugh family. Check out their GoFundMe and please donate if you can. I plan on
Yep.
doing that too. AEW just released a tribute shirt for Jay Briscoe. That
Go buy
if I'm
it.
going to be going to Super Card of Honor,
Yeah.
I know I'm like kind of spewing out a lot of information at once, but yeah, that was definitely tragic. Jay
Yeah.
Briscoe,
Tomas
he was
texted me. Tomas texted me, and I couldn't believe it. Jay Briscoe tragically passes away in a car accident, and our condolences go out to the entire Pugh family. Mark Briscoe miraculously just wrestled what many people are calling the Jay Briscoe tribute match in the main event of Dynamite tonight against Jay Lethal. But it's tragic loss. Tragic,
yeah.
tragic loss. Jay
Real
Lethal,
quick
one of the
thoughts.
greatest ROH performers of all time. But
Yeah. Jay Briscoe was, I remember channel flipping back in 2009 and just stumbling across this Ring of Honor. And I saw guys like Kevin Steen and El Generico and Colt Cabana and the Briscoe brothers. And I just thought the Briscoes were like the coolest tag team ever. They were like these trailer park boys. You had like the silly, goofy Mark and the no nonsense attitude Jay. And then just watching Jay and Mark's careers like evolve what they did into, and then Jay becoming one of the greatest world champions of all time. It's tragic. Like Jay should be still here wrestling for 20 more years, but it's yeah, I'm still definitely processing that one. It's honestly it's up there with Brody Lee when it
yeah,
comes to the feels with that one.
everybody reach for the sky and pour out a cold one for Jay. So,
Hashtag Dem Boys for life.
oh, them boys anyway. But Tomas, I'm so happy to have you back, my friend, and I'm glad to have you all back. Hit that subscribe button if you're new. Let's see if we can hit 2,000 subscribers by the end of the year. That would be an amazing, amazing achievement. And I'll tell you what. If we hit 2,000 before then, I'll think about doing some giveaways as well. So hit that thumbs up as well. That would be insanely helpful. But the reason we're reviewing SummerSlam '04 right before the Royal Rumble, in case you're new here, is obviously we're doing a Ruthless Aggression retrospective, and this was just the next show in the countdown. We've already talked about Royal Rumble 2004, but I owned this show on DVD for so many years, so I know SummerSlam 2004 pretty well.
This
Unfortunately,
is
it's
yeah,
not the
this
most
is the
memorable SummerSlam of all
SummerSlam.
time.
No, this is the SummerSlam with the shitty poster, right? With Sable and the SummerSlam logo is covering her
Nope,
parts.
nope, nope, nope. That was last year's SummerSlam. That was
That was
so
okay, okay.
this year's SummerSlam basically was themed after the Olympic Games because you had the infamous 2004 Summer Olympics in Athens, I want to say, where Michael Phelps was like breaking records for winning the most gold medals for any American swimmer ever. But um this is I mean, there's a few very good matches on this show, but not a whole lot to write home about necessarily. Not a
On paper, on paper, this card should be very good, but there's a couple of factors in a lot of these matches that we'll get into that just didn't make this show should have wowed me a lot more than it did. But
yeah.
yeah, let's get on into it. We are at SummerSlam 2004. It's one of the
Toronto,
big
by the
four
way.
shows. Yeah, in
Toronto,
Toronto.
Canada, Air Canada Center, always a very vocal crowd, and the announcers always say they're in Bizarro World when they're in Toronto. Um,
Yeah, and I was gonna say, remember Toronto, because we're going to talk about Toronto a lot. Before we get into the show, apologies in advance if my energy's a little low. Like I said, I am still getting over a cold. So if you hear a little bit of throughout the podcast, my apologies in advance. But we're gonna jump right into the show, and it's one of the this is one of
yes,
the
sir.
biggest shows of the year. It's the Big Four, and what are we starting off with? A six-man tag team match involving the tag team champions and the cruiserweight champion. It's the
Playa.
tag team champions. Yes, the WWE Tag Team Champions, the newly formed team of Billy Kidman and newcomer Paul London, teaming with Rey Mysterio to take on all three Dudleys. Devon,
Mm-hmm.
Bubba Ray, and the new cruiserweight champion, the boss, Spike Dudley. Who is
Obviously
the
not
boss, Spike
related.
Dudley?
Obviously not related to Sasha Banks in any way. So apparently the gimmick was Spike Dudley and Rey Mysterio were teaming up against the Dudleys because a big gimmick was Spike always finding a friend in the locker room, because the gimmick is Spike has a lot of friends to go up against his brothers, and he picks Rey Mysterio one week, and for some ungodly reason, Spike suddenly turns on Rey and he tells Bubba and Devon to get the tables. Turns out that Spike was the mastermind of the Dudleys the entire fucking time. Like,
Think about those old Looney Tunes cartoons where like you have the big brute, like the big bulldog, but he's the second banana to the little chihuahua who's the brains of the operation. That's what this always reminded me of. And I didn't hate this gimmick. I thought it was
I didn't
really
hate
cool
it
to
either.
see, yeah, to see Spike, the man in the chair, the man, behind the big brain operations. And I thought it was cool to kind of see him in charge of the Dudleys from here on out. This didn't last long. I feel like this was still like the experimental phase with
Yeah.
some SmackDown gimmicks. Like I said, the Dudleys on SmackDown was still very, very weird. So we have this, yeah, kind of just a mishmash tag team match to open up the show. Not a lot of build to this. I think they made this match like the SmackDown before SummerSlam.
Again, the Dudley Boys opening a pay-per-view. How many times have you seen this on this podcast? But we're not going to be seeing the Dudleys a whole lot more in the Ruthless Aggression era, because I believe they would be gone shortly after Survivor Series, if my memory serves me correct.
They would. They would make a quick return to the company the following year for the ECW One Night Stand pay-per-view, but they would be gone by that time, and they would be signing with TNA shortly afterward. I think from 05 or 06 all the way until 2015. So yeah, we're not going to be talking about the Dudley Boys that much more longer. They would have a 10-year absence from the company until they would make their return in 2015, the day after SummerSlam 2015. So
ironically,
nice little connecting the dots. Yeah. Paul London and Billy Kidman. That may sound like a random tag team for you, and it's honestly not the most famous tag team that London is known for, but this is how London got his start in the WWE, in this tag team with Billy Kidman. And from the get-go in this match, I will say Kidman and London are a very fun team to watch.
They really are. And Paul London, when we're talking about Jay Briscoe and we're talking about these hidden gems coming in from Ring of Honor, when I was watching pro wrestling around this time, Eddie Guerrero was in Ring of Honor for a short time, and then he got cleaned up and moved back over to the Fed. But Paul London was like the first indie wrestler hidden gem that I had ever seen, because I wasn't really watching Ring of Honor all that much as a young, casual WWE fan. I see Paul London come in, and I'm like, this is a guy who needs to be researched. And I very frequently had Pro Wrestling Illustrated, and Paul London was all over those things, always in the Ring of Honor results and all that stuff. But he was a phenomenal high flyer. Never gets enough credit.
He was. Don't want to jump the gun on London, but London was so good that my mom, who would just casually watch wrestling over my shoulder, became a fan of Paul London. Not to fast forward too far in the timeline, but a couple years later, when Paul London fought Chavo Guerrero for the Cruiserweight title, I think on Judgment Day, or Armageddon, I'm not sure. It was one of those pay-per-views, but I remember my mom ordered the pay-per-view for me, and she watched that match, and at the end of it, she goes, that Paul London, he's really fun to watch. So I just feel like he's that talented if he's able to capture, the casual eye of people just watching the product casually. Yeah, like I said, London and Kidman are a very fun tag team to watch. I think them and Mysterio were a very fun, tandem to go against up these heels. They weren't given a lot of time in this match, but this was really fun.
Yeah, that's my biggest problem with the match. It got only 8 minutes, and I feel like if you doubled that time, you would have easily had a 4-star SummerSlam opener. This was
with a little more build too. I don't know, maybe put all the titles on the line. I know London and Kidman had just won the titles, and Spike had just won the Cruiserweight title, but I don't know. And I know they wanted the Cruiserweight on Spike and the tag teams on London and Kidman, but I don't know. Maybe do something like that. Maybe this could have been the show, with a little more preparation and planning. The Dudleys and Spike, all three Dudleys could have had the tag team titles and the Cruiserweight titles, and, Kidman, London, and Mysterio could have all won the titles from on this show. I feel like that would have been a lot more memorable than just a thrown together non-title match here.
Yeah.
Again, two titles involved in this match, and
man,
none of them were defended.
None of them on the line. Yeah, it makes all the sense in the world, right? Especially with Bubba Ray and Devon not challenging for the tag titles, amazingly enough. But the last couple of minutes of this match I thought were actually phenomenal.
Real quick before you get into that, one spot in the match I really want to talk about is that I think Mysterio went for he just went for like a springboard over the top rope, and Devon Dudley literally, I think Samoa Joe got that idea from him because Devon Dudley just casually walks out of the way and Rey Mysterio eats shit on the outside, and I'm just like, Samoa Joe got that from you, didn't he?
Maybe. He must have. Mysterio with the flying nothing. Paul London, who, in my opinion, was the MVP of this entire match because he was taking the heat and he was doing some great selling. Hits a big suicide helo to the floor onto Bubba Ray, which was an excellent spot. Billy Kidman and Rey Mysterio, former Filthy Animals teammates, are working together here. Kidman slingshotting Spike into a 619, which is a really cool spot. A very close near fall on the shooting star press, which I know you hate seeing Billy Kidman do the shooting star press, but this one actually wasn't bad, but it would get a lot worse. It would get a lot worse real fast.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to be talking about that really, really, really soon, and we're going to be talking about a tragic accident in the ring that would lead to a very strange double turn from the people that were involved in that match, but more on that later. I feel like the shooting star press killed Kidman's career. It made his career and it killed his career at the same time. But like I said, more on that later. More on that in a couple of months. Do the Dudleys, I feel like the Dudleys hit the 3D.
Yes. So they hit the 3D on Kidman, and then Spike Dudley, the boss, picks up the scraps and pins Billy Kidman for the Dudleys' victory. 2 3/4, a lot of action in here, but it needed more time to really elevate it to the next level.
Very crammed. Very crammed. Again, a couple more weeks of build, maybe put some higher stakes, give them 5 more minutes. I mean, it's not like a lot of these matches were getting a lot of time to begin with. And before we get to the next matches, as your casual reminder, we're going to be talking about that feud again. If you do not feel comfortable listening to this feud, feel free to skip this part. It's not going to be as intense as it was last time, but it is a continuation of the program that we're talking about. So, I mean, in some retrospective, it does get worse, but we're not going to be talking about that subject matter. But still, you don't want to hear about this feud. It's okay. We don't want to talk about this feud.
No, it gets
sucks.
It gets very worse. It gets very much worse.
It gets worse in the sense that it gets fucking stupider.
Oh, it just, man, dude, this storyline pisses me off so much. So we have Kane versus Matt Hardy once again on this show after the no disqualification match at Vengeance, which is very mediocre and very bogged down by a shit storyline. But they are facing each other in what is known as a till death do us part match, where the winner gets to marry Lita. I just gave Tomas a stroke right there, just saying that stipulation. So
I hope you hear that banging, because that's me hitting my head on my desk. Over how fucking stupid that stipulation is.
Please don't hurt yourself, man. We have a show on Saturday, but
no.
Yeah.
This show gave me a stroke. That's what it did. Fuck.
So, man, I don't want to talk about this feud. Like, you know how shitty it is.
It's shitty, but for those keeping score at home, basically after Vengeance, Kane and Matt are still fighting. Apparently, they do a DNA test, and they do confirm that the baby is Kane's. They confirm that. Matt's pissed. Kane is getting in his head. So, do they call the police? No. Do they take it to court? No. They have a fucking wrestling match, and the winner marries Lita. Does Lita get any say in this?
Lita does not agree to this. Lita does not sign the contract.
Because women in wrestling are not people. They are inanimate objects.
Yeah, and there's still some assholes out here that want Vince McMahon to come back and book this shit. I don't want that. You should not want that either, just because of bullshit like this. One thing I will say, I don't want to say to make light of this situation, because obviously this is a terrible storyline that should never have happened. But I'm just hoping that if that baby was in fact Kane's, per the storyline, I am just hoping that that baby is not opposed to masking during a pandemic.
Fucking hell.
Yeah. So just saying, just throwing that out there. It's just the biggest case of dramatic irony I've ever heard in my life.
It really is. And also, if you thought the no disqualification match was mediocre, this match got 6 minutes.
Yeah.
6 fucking minutes.
The wrestling was really nothing much to write home about, other than the finish, which obviously. So did Matt hit a twist of fate on this? I don't think so. He hit a twist of fate on the outside
so fast that I don't remember any of it.
Yeah, Matt hit a twist of fate on the outside and wanted the count out victory. So essentially, Matt Hardy is admitting that he is a little cuck. Like, this storyline just keeps getting worse and worse and worse. But it was a sick visual at the end, though. I will give them credit. Kane nails Matt Hardy with a chokeslam off the top rope and pins him clean in the middle.
Matt took that chokeslam like a fucking champ, and that's the only nice thing I'll say about this match. Because it was rushed, considering the storyline, it was completely rushed. You think with something with this ridiculously stupid high stakes, they would give it a little more time, but they didn't. 6 minutes, get the fuck out of here. I mean, I guess in that sense it was good, but yeah. And then poor Lita is scared out of her mind. Jerry Lawler is making jokes about the situation. And yeah, you know what? I was going to give this a star, but considering the aftermath, I'm going to give it, fuck it, 0 stars.
0 stars.
0 fucking stars.
I'll give it a half for the chokeslam. I thought the chokeslam was cool, but everything else was just pure shit. Jerry Lawler should not have been on Kane's side at all. Like, especially considering Kane's actions, nobody should be on Kane's side.
There's defending the heel. You know, you can be a heel sympathizing commentator for sure. It's a staple in wrestling. I feel like all commentary teams should have the heel sympathizer because it helps you look at both sides of the spectrum. But when it comes to this, so Jerry Lawler, let me tell you this. If a heel was out there murdering babies, would you be on their side?
I would not have their side at all, but
come on.
Yeah, bad match.
There's got to be the morality line. Like Taz, for example. Taz is a heel sympathizer, but there have been times, like I recall back in WWE ECW, where Mike Knox was going to hit Kelly and Taz threw down his headset and got into the ring because he doesn't play that shit. It's like bad guys have standards. And, you know, I feel like there's got to be the more morality line right there. But I digress. That's not the point. Fuck this match. Fuck this feud. And you know what? It's not over.
It is. This Kane storyline is far from over. But
I mean,
the Matt Hardy thing
stuff is done.
Yeah,
almost.
So
let me just segue into something even worse.
Can we bury the lead here real quick on Matt Hardy because it's going to be a minute before we talk about him. So Matt loses this thing, and he loses fair and square, and he still has not had enough with Kane. So Lita, the only logical person in this feud, if you ask me. The wedding angle actually takes place 8 nights later on Monday Night Raw, and it's the main event segment, keep in mind. Kane walks down to the ring with the whitest ass suit that he got from Men's Warehouse like the night before, probably. Lita goes down there with a black ass wedding gown. And I was like, she is so defiant going down there in a black dress. Yeah, but you're still walking down the aisle, Lita.
Yeah. You could have bought a plane ticket to Africa and you could have been gone.
You could have left him at the altar. That would have made all the more sense.
And if Bischoff would have said, you're fired, I was going to fuck you. Then I quit then.
Yeah, I would quit.
Fucking company.
I would quit. And then, you know, and then she goes to the altar anyway.
TNA is hiring. Fuck.
Her vow. TNA is, but I hear that TNA is hiring.
Yeah.
So
what is a good word for you?
Yeah, Lita goes Kurt didn't go to TNA at this point, but Lita goes down the aisle anyway, and during her vows, she's like, "I will love and I will always love Matt Hardy." And I'm like, well, maybe you should have left Kane at the altar then to really send the message home. So Matt takes another chokeslam off the stage like a champ, and the ceremony goes down. And it's done. Kane and Lita are now an item. And the storyline, believe it or not, Matt Hardy is done to rehab an injury. I believe he tore his ACL, I want to say, around this point.
He gets fired.
Oh, psh.
He
we,
gets
we
fired.
we can get into that when Matt Hardy actually returns because it gets
Yeah, for
fucking
sure. But
wild
this
in
is the
real life.
last time we're going to be talking about Matt Hardy for a year.
Yeah, the last time we're going to talk about Matt Hardy in this retrospective for a year, little matter of fact there. But Matt Hardy takes a fucking chokeslam off the stage and goes home to rehab a torn ACL. And the Kane and Lita storyline gets far worse. And I'll just say this much for right now. It's not my fault that the storyline got as worse as it did. But
and also, just to bury the lead just a little tiny more, we're going to be talking about this Segway rivalry until New Year's Revolution.
Yep.
That is in January.
Boring match. Next up, I think it's worth noting this promo before you get to this next match. Per tradition, Randy Orton is getting interviewed by Todd Grisham, as he has been at a bunch of these other shows. I'm telling you, man. Anytime Randy Orton has an interview in the Ruthless Aggression era, it's always Todd Grisham. It feels like
it's always on pay-per-view.
Yeah, it's almost like they're trying to build like a new The Rock, Jonathan Coachman style dynamic there between Orton and Grisham. Randy Orton doesn't give a damn about the Till Death Do Us Part match. He's only concerned about becoming the youngest world heavyweight champion in history, and he is interrupted by the Doctor of Thugonomics. And this is a promo worth noting because this is the very first of many times that Randy Orton and John Cena would be interacting on our television screens.
Hey,
So
Zach,
it's monumental.
remember when it was special when a Raw and a SmackDown guy came face to face at one of these pay-per-views?
Oh, I know where you're going with this.
Remember how special that was? Because you never saw it?
Yep.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Well, we're going to get it on Saturday when a Raw guy challenges Roman Reigns. But in any case, don't think I forgot that Kevin Owens is on Raw.
TV every single week. Anywho, that's the first thing. Regardless of my sarcasm, I do remember back in the day when it was a special thing to see a Raw and a SmackDown guy come face to face at one of these pay-per-views.
It's great.
Because it made you actually feel like these shows were like worlds apart. But anywho, speaking of John Cena, it is John Cena versus Booker T in the best of 5 series for the United States Championship. The last time we were talking about Cena, he was the United States champion. What happened? General Manager Kurt Angle
fucking
Cena
wild
of the title for no fucking good reason.
Because he doesn't like John Cena.
Yeah. So Angle tried every single trick in the book to get the title off of Cena, and then he got sick of it and just took the title from Cena. Booker T won the United States title in a... What match did he win it again?
I don't even fucking remember. It was a random match on SmackDown. Or
Booker T
it was either
won
that,
the U.S. title.
It was either that or Booker T became like the surrogate holder of the championship belt. Like he has like a reason as a heel to hold the title.
So the new general manager, and we'll be getting into that later why, but the new general manager, Teddy Long, when he gets put into power, he realizes that Angle stripping Cena of the title is not fair, doesn't make any sense. So he holds a best of 5 series between Cena and Booker, and the winner becomes the undisputed United States champion. The Elite versus Death Triangle, this ain't. This best of 5 series is very bland, very boring, and it's honestly just a way to eat up TV time and kill time for Cena and Booker throughout the fall.
Well, and let's face it, John Cena was not at the caliber of wrestling talent that, you know, like a Eddie Guerrero was or a Kurt Angle was, or dare I say even Booker T was. John Cena was not having 5-star matches yet. There was still a lot to learn for young Jonathan Q. Cena. Booker T was trying to carry him to a pretty good match here, and it was very basic. You know,
very basic.
Yeah, it's, you know, just like, you know, the thugonomics that John Cena holds a PhD in. Don't forget. But anyway, you know, so.
You know, it's your match. Booker does his stuff. Cena does his stuff. Cena hits an FU out of nowhere and he just wins. Very flat finish.
6 minutes.
Yeah. They weren't given a lot of time either.
Yeah.
The undercard on this show is just something else. And it's not like you think you would get a weak undercard and they get a fantastically amazing, you know, main event scene. It
was super slow pace for a 6-minute match. It felt like Booker T had a chin lock for 5 minutes and 30 seconds and then Cena hit an FU.
It's like they were working the match regularly and then they both realized, oh shit, we got to take it home. Just hit an FU and let's call it a day. Like no substance to this match. It felt like a house show match. I mean, it just ended. So Cena gets the first victory. And just to let you guys know, this is going to culminate at No Mercy. So we'll be
Yeah.
talking about the end of the series, no at No Mercy, which
In
I
a
think they
couple
go
months.
2-2. Yeah, because they have a couple matches on SmackDown, and I think one of them even gets like a victory on a house show. So this is all going to culminate at No Mercy. So just to bury the lead right then and there, it goes 2-2, and then
Yeah.
the final decision is made at No Mercy.
Stay tuned for the No
Uh,
Mercy pod in a couple months, but
2 stars.
yeah,
Not really much to this
it's
match.
fairly basic match that you could have watched on SmackDown, and it was on pay-per-view. So it was a way to get John Cena and Booker T some pay-per-view exposure for a bit. But this is also, speaking of Teddy Long, so he is backstage. He's the brand new SmackDown general manager, and I will hold true to this. Greatest general manager in WWE history. Teddy Long is my favorite. I absolutely love him, and I love him booking the tag team matches, playa, and how the Raw Triple X show actually paid homage to Teddy Long making the tag team matches all the time. Triple H
Which is weird because Teddy Long is a SmackDown legend, but I guess they just reached out to everyone, and Teddy Long is always down to come back. They never should have released him in the first place.
Well, Triple H,
I'm glad.
Triple H made a joke as part of the DX skit about how this booking shit is hard. If only there was somebody who like knew how to do this. And then Teddy Long comes out, and then he does the 6-man tag team match gimmick. But greatest general manager in SmackDown history. He is talking to
something about Teddy Long I want to point
ahead.
out. I remember as a kid, I only knew Teddy Long as the heel manager for Mark Henry, for Jazz, for Christopher Nowitzki and Rodney Mack. Just I saw Teddy Long and I just thought, oh, there's that bad guy. So when they named him the general manager, I remember getting upset. Like, why? I don't like this guy. Why is he the general manager? And then literally in the span of a couple months, he became like my favorite person ever.
Oh.
And I think Teddy Long is a very important part of both of our childhoods because he would be SmackDown general manager probably
until 2012.
The first initial brands, like, when they fucked up the brand split for the first time.
Yep.
So get used to hearing Teddy Long. We're gonna see him around for like 8 years in different iterations. He's gonna be general manager. He's gonna be, an assistant. He's gonna be, all these crazy things. He's gonna get fired. He's gonna get rehired. He's always gonna find his way back in, all the way until he becomes Booker T's senior advisor when Booker becomes the SmackDown general manager. So
I forgot about
Teddy.
that.
We love him.
Teddy Long. He is backstage with who he calls the head cracker in charge of Raw, Eric Bischoff.
I love that.
And Eric Bischoff is basically saying, listen, one SummerSlam passes, it's Stephanie McMahon. Another SummerSlam passes, it's Paul Heyman. I just hope that you can keep your job after this SummerSlam. And lo and behold, Teddy Long keeps his job longer than Eric Bischoff does. So,
ironically enough, we're going to still see Bischoff as Raw GM until the end of 2005.
Indeed.
So, and it's crazy how Eric Bischoff says that. But after Bischoff, there is an ever-revolving door of Raw general managers. But Teddy Long stays SmackDown general manager, with the exception of like a couple of instances here and there where he gets taken off.
And
so
Teddy
Long
very clearly playing babyface in this promo, even where he's saying, listen, if you ever want to get rid of Eugene, I'll sign him over to SmackDown just like I would anybody else, and I'm going to make Eugene a star. And it's freaking
nice.
Awesome.
That one show had the heel general manager and the other show had the babyface general manager.
He says it's not personal, it's just reality. That was the line. So, oh boy, this is going to be an interesting one to talk about. We have a very special attraction triple threat match for the Intercontinental Championship. New champion Edge, who we talked about in a banger of a match the previous month at Vengeance. He's defending.
No, it wasn't.
I don't know what match you were watching, but he's defending in his hometown against Chris Jericho and Batista. So Chris Jericho gets it.
Yeah. Did you just hit the random match generator on Day of Reckoning? That's what this match sounds like. The fuck?
I believe Day of Reckoning was also the sponsor for this show, if I remember right.
It sounds like I got bored, fired up my GameCube, and said, I want to do a triple threat match. I'm going to pick the first 3 wrestlers that popped up. Edge, Jericho, Batista.
Not even the good Day of Reckoning either. That would go to the sequel that came out in 2005. But so notice how I said Edge in his hometown is defending the title, but you wouldn't have guessed that because Lillian Garcia announces Edge as Toronto's own to try and get a rise out of this crowd, and they give Edge a polite reaction, but this fucker is booed out of the building. Like, poor Edge, like, this is a situation that was out of his control, but this crowd was not buying into Edge as a top babyface at all.
So
at all.
Let me reiterate what I said at Vengeance. This was probably the worst run in Edge's career. He lost a ton of momentum when he got injured in 2002 and was out for an entire year and some change. They weren't doing anything with him. He was admittedly pretty boring. He was in stupid feuds. He wasn't having good matches.
He was boring.
I mean, I hate to say it, but he was pretty boring. He was in stupid feuds, not good matches, and deservedly so. The fans were kind of getting sick of him. But let me just say right now, this crowd, they're a bunch of assholes.
Yeah.
They really hurt the dynamic of the show. And I feel like they were booing Edge just to be assholes. But Edge was in dire need of a fresh new take. And we're going to get that soon. But unfortunately, here's bland babyface Edge and green Batista.
Nothing like that. That made him cool.
Yeah. And Jericho, who carried this match.
Yeah, Jericho. I mean, Jericho was another Canadian that they were cheering, even though he was billed as being from Manhasset, New York.
To get the evil foreigner.
Yeah. So, Jericho being announced from America just so the American crowds could resonate with him more. That's why Chris Benoit was billed as now residing in Atlanta, Georgia. Those darn Canadians.
I know, exactly. They're so much different. They all have circle heads and they all have like the weird talking animations. Yeah, just like they say in South Park, right? Yeah, that's what Canadians are like.
Yeah.
We're so much different than they are.
Yeah. I mean, there's some
disclaimer, we do not hate Canadians.
No, I don't hate Canadians either. I'm good friends with a lot of them. So, Edge and Jericho have a decent little sequence. Batista is still very green, so it's very clear that Edge and Jericho are the dynamic carrying this thing.
He's there. Batista's there.
Batista's there. He doesn't even take the pin.
No.
But Edge and Jericho.
Batista refused to bump in this match.
Fucking Edge. This was mostly Edge versus Jericho with Batista in the background, unfortunately. Edge hits an execution.
Batista was in this match?
Yeah. Edge and
he was standing so completely still I didn't even notice.
Drax, you're eating a Zorg nut, but
I broke him. I did
You're
it.
The worst. You're the worst. You're the fucking worst. Edge hits an execution that JR calls a tornado DDT, by the way. That's
it takes them until 2009 to call it the execution.
Michael Cole called it an execution correctly, but
I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. I am hopped up on Dayquil, so
yeah, Batista hitting spine busters on Jericho. Edge counters Batista with a nice roll up out of a spine buster. This crowd is so behind Chris Jericho, by the way. Humongous Y2J chants. Springboard dropkick on Batista to eliminate him by Jericho. Edge hits Jericho with one spear and pins him. That's it. 8 minutes of a triple threat match.
You can't do a triple threat in 8 minutes. I'm sorry.
No.
It was the most bland. Okay.
2 stars.
The difference between a good triple threat match and a bad triple threat match. A good triple threat match has all 3 competitors involved at all times. Take Lashley, Theory, and Rollins from this past year's Survivor Series. Excellent triple threat because all 3 players were involved the entire time. A bad triple threat match is when it's 2 one-on-one matches and all 3 guys do not interact. And that was this. And again, you can't do a triple threat in 8 minutes. You need more time for things to develop and for things to gel and to get into the groove. This wasn't it. This really wasn't it. I have to agree with you, 2 stars. And Edge, and the crowd went mild for him. Like I said, Edge was in dire need of a gimmick change, and it's going to happen very, very, very soon.
He would not get a gimmick change until after he suffers a triceps tear, which is very unfortunate because he had just won the IC strap. he would have to vacate it because of the injury. And this will be settled on the Unforgiven podcast that we'll be talking about next month. But here we go, man. This is one of the big angles on SmackDown, no pun intended, that we're going to get to. It's a big WrestleMania rematch.
Yep, big WrestleMania rematch. It is Eddie Guerrero versus Kurt Angle. The culmination of this match is 6 months in the making, ever since the WrestleMania match. So, where do we begin? Let's go back to the Great American Bash when Kurt Angle does the right thing and awards the WWE Championship to JBL after JBL technically won the match when his shoulder hit the turnbuckle first in the Texas Roll-Up match. Angle said it was nothing personal, but he had to do the right thing. Eddie gets a rematch for the WWE title inside a steel cage against JBL. A mysterious masked man costs Eddie the match. And when the masked man tries to leave, Eddie pulls him back in the cage just to find out it's Kurt Angle himself. It's a miracle. He is healed from his injury.
He is able to walk again.
He's able to walk again. And Angle said that he never forgot getting screwed out of the WWE Championship at WrestleMania, so he screwed Eddie out of his WWE Championship.
Even though Eddie beat Kurt Angle fair and square without cheating at all whatsoever, you know? Eddie didn't cheat in that WrestleMania match. I don't know what you're talking about.
He outsmarted Angle.
He did. He didn't cheat at all. Completely within the confines of the rules.
If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
Yep, that's what Eddie's theme song said. So Kurt Angle, the only problem is that he was still SmackDown general manager and obviously being very corrupt and costing John Cena the U.S. title, costing Eddie the WWE Championship now. And Kurt is still walking out to the ring in crutches. He is miraculously back to being, gimpy Kurt Angle.
As much as I hate Vince,
yeah,
I really like this. I really like this moment. I'm sorry.
I fucking hate Vince McMahon with a fiery passion, but this was such a great segment because Vince surprisingly comes out live in front of the SmackDown audience. He has Kurt Angle hilariously beg for his job, and
sometimes babyface Vince works. And in this instance, it worked.
Kurt takes like an hour to get down on his knees and beg Vince to allow him to keep his job as general manager. And Vince does the famous, "You're fired!" And just one of the best deliveries of that big catchphrase, I think, ever.
Yeah. And then Vince takes the crutch and he swings at an Angle, and Angle's run away from him. Vince goes, "Get up, damn it, you're not hurt." Just to prove a point.
Look at you. There's not a damn thing wrong with you.
Again, a rare Vince McMahon moment that I actually enjoyed.
Yeah, and so in punishment, he says that he's going to sign Kurt Angle back to an active contract as a wrestler, and Kurt is in tears. Not because he gets to keep his job, but because he's back as a wrestler.
Yeah,
what the fuck?
Again, it's a miracle. It's a fucking miracle. Angle can walk again.
And on the spot,
remember that TV show, he should have died.
Yes, and on the spot, Vince McMahon books this one-on-one match for SummerSlam. Vince gets in the lowrider with Eddie Guerrero in celebration, and it's just a great way to capstone this segment. Great build for this. Kurt is accompanied to the ring by the least popular of the Reigns namesake, Luther.
Wait, is this the tribal chief everyone's so mad about nowadays?
No, not at all. The crowd chants "Let's go Angle," by the way, which is again kind of messing with the dynamics here. I hate to say it, but
this match was excellent.
It was great.
Not as good as the WrestleMania match.
Not even close. First of all, because they only got 14 minutes by comparison.
Jesus Christ. What is with the times on these matches?
I don't know, man.
Eddie Guerrero and Kurt Angle should get 25 minutes. You know that 26 minutes that Edge and Orton got vengeance? Eddie and Angle should have got it here.
You're just never going to let me live that down, are you?
Fucking swap those. Swap those times.
Yeah, so it's Eddie Guerrero versus Kurt Angle, guys. What else do you really expect? This is for sure the match of the night. There's one other contender for that title, and we'll get to that in a bit. Angle slam early on, and there's a lot of really great callbacks to their WrestleMania match because Kurt actually initiates untying Eddie's boot after the ankle lock this time, just so Eddie doesn't get away with it.
Yeah. Again, I appreciate the continuity and the psychology of this match a ton because Eddie and Angle just got it.
Yep.
Eddie. Again,
drills Kurt Angle with his spare boot, drills Luther Reigns on the apron with the boot. He somehow, some way, is able to hit the frog splash with only one shoe on, which is very
Yeah.
impressive if you think about that balance.
Also,
But
Eddie Guerrero did something in this match that you really like.
what did he do? Oh, ankle lock.
Stolen finisher.
Yeah, Eddie locks in the ankle lock on Kurt Angle. He should have done the angle slam. The ankle lock.
Slam too.
Yep. The ankle lock. Eddie Guerrero still can't. No, okay.
The only thing that would have been more impressive if Angle would have went up for a frog splash.
Oh man. Could you imagine? I'm just trying to visualize Kurt Angle trying to hit a frog splash, and it's just like really messing with my OCD right now. I can't do it.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
Yeah.
You know what you can do? Go to SmackDown, go to the WWE 2K22 and change Kurt Angle's moveset so his finisher will be the frog splash, and then you can see it.
Good Lord. Angle does kick out of the frog splash, which is very, very surprising. Eddie Guerrero sells it like he means it. And then Eddie is locked into this ankle lock for a good amount of time. Kurt grapevines it, the exposed foot, the bare foot of Eddie Guerrero. He has no choice but to tap out in the middle of the ring. I have a problem with this because dictating how the storyline goes, Kurt Angle always screwing Eddie Guerrero out of the big time, championship and all that. This really should have been Eddie getting his revenge, shouldn't it? Like,
it really should have, but I feel like the main focus was on Angle getting his heat back from WrestleMania.
Yeah. It's 50-50 booking at its finest, but with the storyline that we were presented,
yeah,
like, I definitely feel like Eddie should have won this match. I don't think Kurt needed this victory, but
yeah, I do get what you're saying though, because also considering Eddie just lost the WWE title,
give him some momentum
he
back.
Lost the title, lost the rematch, and then he goes and loses this big match to Angle. I think I hate to say it, but it takes Eddie a while to get his momentum back. It wouldn't be until he turns heel the following year.
Sure does, and it's unfortunate, but this is easily the best match on this show. It's 4 stars from me. Not nearly as good as the WrestleMania 20 match. Like, it's not even on that level because it needed.
It's still a good match, and you should check it out because the best comparison I could give it is the year prior with Lesnar and Angle. Phenomenal WrestleMania main event, and still a pretty damn good match at SummerSlam, just not comparable. They're, all 4 of those matches are excellent, so you should check out all of them.
Well, I still think the best match Angle ever had with Lesnar was the Iron Man match where Brock regained the title on SmackDown. But that's the match that should have happened at SummerSlam. But what can you do? I'm not the head booker. This booking shit is obviously not my forte. It's very difficult. But okay. Up next is probably one of the biggest storylines going into SummerSlam. It was all over the fucking Vengeance podcast. Triple H is going one-on-one with young master Eugene, which seems like a massive mismatch in hindsight. Eugene is facing idol.
You look at the dynamic of this match, but then you look at the build, and this is the best damn build they ever could have done for a feud at this time. Yep. They took Triple H out of the world title picture to work with a gimmick, basically. Mm-hmm. This is like Brett working with Doink, but it works. This is like Macho Man Randy Savage working with Doink. It looks very weird, but it works. And the build to this has just been tremendous from the minute Eugene debuted all the way until this very night. So, like we said at Vengeance, Eugene he cost Triple H the world title, but not on purpose. Triple H and Chris Benoit would have one more world title match on Raw, and Eugene would accidentally cost Triple H. I'm mixing up my timeline. I'm sorry. Let's go back. Vengeance. Eugene cost Triple H the world title.
That's an accident. Raw, that was an accident.
That is an accident. The next night on Raw, Eugene is doing his walk of shame, and all of Evolution is just staring a hole through Eugene, and Eugene is just profusely apologizing to Triple H that he did something wrong and he didn't mean to do it. And Triple H, that bastard, puts his arm around Eugene and says, "It's okay, Eugene. I know you didn't do it on purpose." But then that night, the big turn happens, and Evolution just beat the holy hell out of Eugene. And Triple H says right then and there, "Eugene, I was never your friend." Hearts
Yeah.
shattered around the world.
That bastard Triple H, man. This broke my heart. This is also around the point where he murdered William Regal backstage and beat him to a bloody pulp. And Eugene was like, "You hurt my friend,"
Oh,
like, and he did all that.
heart wrenching.
Oh,
Fucking
Nick
heart wrenching.
Dinsmore. I don't care what you say about the Eugene gimmick. Nick Dinsmore is a gem.
He is, and
But
I loved it. I love this whole feud. And Bischoff the bastard goes into Triple H's dressing room and says, "You should be rewarded for what you did to Regal. So I'm going to make the match official for SummerSlam. It's going to be you versus Eugene." And believe it or not, that is
not
the
until
promo. If you look,
Not
it,
until
you,
Eugene, hold on. Not until Eugene costs Triple H the world title on purpose on Raw
yes,
in an Iron
yes,
Man match this time. So,
yes,
60-minute Iron Man match against Chris Benoit. That's the match that should have happened at Vengeance. Just saying that.
yes. But yeah, Eugene cost Triple H the world title again. Triple H gets his match against Eugene at SummerSlam, and that promo right there backstage is where you get the iconic image of Triple H bringing his head up from the sink and brushing his hair back. It's used in his video package now in the Titantron. So if you're ever wondering where that image is from, it's from this promo.
Yes. Yeah. It's fantastic. Both guys make their entrance. Eugene is a lot more serious going to the ring. Yeah, excellent build.
The match.
Oh, flop. Yeah, it was.
And
I thought it was pretty good. It could have been better.
Yeah,
though.
here's the thing.
Definitely could have been better.
My issue with the match isn't the match itself, because they told a story in there, and I see what they were going with the story. You take the okay. Again, Nick Dinsmore is a genius because his psychology with Eugene and then mixing it into a serious match right here worked perfectly. And Triple H is a ring general. He commanded the ring in this match. My issue with this match is that the crowd didn't play along.
No, the crowd chanted Eugene sucks pretty early on, which again really fucked with the dynamics of the match.
Yeah. And they booed Eugene every time he got offense. And that's my issue with the match. The crowd did not play along. Again, I get it. You bought your ticket to the show. You can cheer and boo whoever you want. But sometimes the crowd needs to play along.
And it's a damn shame because these guys were having a great dynamic in there. Eugene whips Triple H into the turnbuckle, for example, and Triple H fakes a knee injury. Cerebral Assassin is selling the knee. The referee throws up the X like, hey, let's get some medical attention out here. And as he's looking towards the entryway, Eugene is concerned. Triple H just gets up and clotheslines the fuck out of him. There was nothing wrong with his knee.
He's taking advantage of Eugene's kind-heartedness. And then there's a point where they're brawling on the outside. Triple H grabs Lillian Garcia and uses her as a human shield just to get Eugene to back off a little. And then he throws her to the ground.
And that would be it for Lillian Garcia this evening.
Yeah, and then fucking Jerry Lawler goes like, oh, she fell and twisted her ankle. Jerry Lawler, you piece of shit.
Good Lord. So Eugene hits Triple H with a rock bottom, and then he goes for the people's elbow. But Triple H comes back, hits a spine buster. Thank God Eugene didn't hit the people's elbow because I hate that move. Anytime someone does it.
He does hit the dreaded leg drop, though.
He does. He hits
the leg drop of doom.
That doesn't work for me, brother. Eugene's shoulder is bleeding at this point. I mean, Triple H gets hit with a stunner even. One of his fiercest rivals' finishers, like, being used on him again. Like,
yeah.
Just icing on the cake.
Eugene gets whipped into the steel steps, and it's actually enough to cut his shoulder open. He starts bleeding from the shoulder.
Mm-hmm. So Eugene hits the stunner, and out comes fucking Ric Flair. Sauntering down the aisle, going for a distraction. But then who pops up behind Ric Flair?
But before that happens, as the distraction is happening and as they go through here, Eugene hits a pedigree on Triple H.
He does.
The best spot in the match. And then that's when Flair puts the leg on the rope. And then in my favorite spot in the match, William Regal makes his return. He hits Flair with the power of the punch. And as he notices Eugene's in trouble, he says, Eugene, look out. And Triple H turns him around, hits him with the pedigree.
No,
the match is over.
You know what it was? Is Eugene was so happy to see his mentor again. He was so happy to see William Regal was up and walking again. He was like, you're okay, friend. And then William Regal's like,
Yeah.
Eugene, look out. And then
Yeah, and then he
Eugene's
gets hit with the
happiness got
pedigree.
the better of him, and Triple H hits the pedigree and pins Eugene clean. 15-minute match there.
This is what you call long-term storytelling. This started at Backlash and culminated at SummerSlam. Triple H did his part. Eugene did his part. It was an excellent feud. The buildup was amazing. The match fell flat because the crowd didn't play their part.
No.
The match would have been a lot better if the crowd would have got behind Eugene, and that would have told a lot better story than it actually did. Because without it, it was a bland and basic match with a couple of funny spots here and there. A great spot with Eugene hitting the pedigree. They knew he was actually going to beat Triple H with his own finisher. William Regal and Flair getting involved. Unfortunately, since that dynamic was missing from the whole match, the best I can do is 2 3/4.
Yeah, I'm gonna match it. This, unfortunately, the crowd dynamic killed this thing. Like, if the crowd was totally behind Eugene and they popped like a loud pop for William Regal coming back, then obviously I'm not gonna sit here and dictate how the fans feel, because they bought their ticket and they can do whatever they want, freedom of speech.
But
and
I
all
feel
that,
like
but
they were being assholes just for the sake of being assholes.
yeah. Yeah, and this will be a key factor when we actually start talking about John Cena's long reign at the top in about a year or so. But before we get
tragically sad.
Before
we
we get to
talk
this,
about some dodgeball.
That's the best way to put it. We can talk about Diva Dodgeball.
You like boobies? You like dodgeball? You like boobies and dodgeball?
This took place.
I got the thing for you, buddy.
This is
on this show.
Team Diva versus Team Dream, made up of the Raw Diva Search contestants who are still left. The notable names who are on Team Dream you might recognize, because there's really nothing to write home about. The Diva Search contestants completely obliterate the Raw locker room. You have Christy Hemme on Team Dream, who would end up winning the competition. Christy Hemme.
Oh, you mean girl who Austin Aries stuck his crotch
Anyway, Michelle McCool, wife of the Undertaker. Yeah, Maria Kanellis.
Fuck yeah, I can't even
Okay, yeah, all right, good. Okay, so yeah, Diva Dodgeball, kind of a waste of time.
What the fuck is a Joy Giovanni?
Oh, we'll talk about Joy Giovanni at Royal Rumble. So
I miss Amy Weber.
Yeah, we'll talk about Amy Weber too. But the Raw Diva Search was a we can talk about it more Taboo Tuesday, because there's actually a match between the Raw Diva Search competitors, but it's an atrocious
Remember
match.
Carmella, and I ain't talking about the one that's married to Corey Graves.
No, I don't. Because everybody hated her. So anyway, crap segment. The King was all over it, of course.
It's not even a piss break, because by the time you reached the bathroom, it was over.
Yeah, there you go. But by the time you hit the bathroom break, your next match pops up, Tomas, which is what?
Oh my god. Before I say it, both world title matches didn't even get a hype package, and I think that is sad. This one got a tail of the tape. It is John Bradshaw Layfield defending the WWE Championship against The Undertaker. It wasn't just
Correction. I got to do this in the Teddy Long voice, too. Bradshaw, you're going to be defending one-on-one with The Undertaker!
Teddy Long's secret weapon, The Undertaker. Is it just me, or did both of these entrances feel so unimportant?
So unimportant, even though JBL comes out in the limousine, which will be important.
Yeah, Taker does, again, no hype package, no match graphic card, just here's Undertaker.
Not even really a reason for the Undertaker to be challenging JBL, because remember, the last time we saw Taker on pay-per-view, he turned heel on all of us and killed his manager.
Fucking remind me.
And now he's a babyface.
Gets to a WWE Championship match. The Undertaker could murder someone and get a WWE Championship match, but Akira Tozawa cannot declare himself for the Royal Rumble.
Literally, all he had to do was go up to Bradshaw and be like, "You, me, SummerSlam." That's all he had to do.
He didn't even do that.
Yeah. Was this the Was this the build where Undertaker kidnaps JBL's chief of staff, Orlando Jordan, or was that the No Mercy build?
I feel like that was no mercy because Jordan gets
Okay.
involved in this match.
Yeah, we can talk about that later then.
I don't
Or
even think Jordan and JBL's relationship was that much established yet. I know he
not
was randomly
really.
coming out to help JBL,
Not really. JBL was
but also,
establishing what would become his cabinet. Because remember, JBL's gimmick is that he's basically the president of WWE, and he gets a chief of staff, and he names Orlando Jordan as his chief of staff, uh, which is very
um,
ironic if you think about it that way.
yeah,
But
I know what you're gonna say. I didn't hate this match.
it was I, these two had better
I
matches than this. This was very
Yeah, for
forgettable.
sure. But there were some nice stiff spots. I feel like they weren't holding back on each other. Um, I mean, I've seen better brawls, but I feel like these guys like were giving each other their best shots. Like there was some stiff boots, and JBL hits a stiff clothesline at one point. Some nice brawling on the outside. Like, I mean, it wasn't the worst thing in the world.
Yeah. There was a point where Bradshaw was selling the arm for a good majority of this first part of the match. And then for some reason, there was just a stage where he stopped selling it. And he hit the clothesline from hell, even like with the bum arm. Like the psychology just felt very off in this match to me, which is very, very strange considering that The Undertaker, the greatest of all time, is involved. But um I don't know. It was for a WWE Championship match at SummerSlam, definitely the majority of the WWE title matches at SummerSlam are better than this one. I would
Yeah, for
say.
sure. No, this is no Brett and Owen in the cage. This is
No,
no Rock and Lesnar.
not even close.
This is no Lesnar and Angle. Hell, this is no
No
fucking
Austin and Angle at 2001 in
no
San Jose, which also ended in
no.
a disqualification, and it actually felt justified. But
Yeah, I get where you're coming from. This is no hell. I'm trying to think of like a modern day. This is no Cena and Rollins at SummerSlam 2015. Nothing
yeah,
like that.
the
This is
crowd
no
is the crowd is also so bored with this thing that they start doing a wave. And I'm like, do you
this
remember
fucking
that this
crowd, I
is the
swear.
dead man that just came back at WrestleMania and was reincarnated as the Phenom? And now he's in a
Yeah.
really crummy WWE title match at SummerSlam, which has pretty much
Again,
no build.
Taker, if anyone ever says Taker didn't put anyone over, this man, my man, The Undertaker, was put through the fucking ringer around this time because he has to fight stupid ass gimmick after stupid ass gimmick after
Yeah.
stupid ass gimmick. Remember back in the 90s too, when he was
Oh,
fighting
man.
Goldust and Mankind and Kamala and the
Bro.
Giant Gonzalez
Hey,
and Diesel.
at least
Don't ever
JBL
say,
At least JBL was not a bad gimmick, though. I really like the JBL character in a lot of different ways. His matches weren't that good as WWE champion, but he was able to sell you on it with his character and his delivery and all that. JBL and
yeah, but
Taker
the
at
next
this
gimmick he feels
juncture,
with is gonna be fucking stupid.
JBL and Taker at this juncture really did not make any sense because Vince did not want to beat either one of these guys. So logically, he books them against each other. And after JBL in the corner, does the corner punches and Taker hits the last ride. Like, there's nothing after that.
Speaking of Jordan, and it's very ironic too that Jordan turns on the Undertaker, considering Undertaker saved his ass last year and gave him his seal of approval. I'm sorry, but if the Undertaker saved my ass and gave me a seal of approval, I would be loyal to him for life. But Jordan doesn't. Jordan turns on the Undertaker, joins JBL, and then he tries to help JBL cheat in this match by tossing him the WWE title. But
Yeah.
unfortunately, Taker gets control of the title and he hits JBL with it in front of the referee, causing a disqualification. Then the main event of SummerSlam goes to disqualification.
Star and a half. Star and a half.
I'll give him 2.5.
What? 2.5 for
I
a
told
DQ?
you, this is the worst thing in the world.
Bro. It's such a boring WWE title match, and these two guys had no business being in the ring with each other. Vince was not going to beat either one of them at this juncture.
I get you.
Like, I would have much preferred Eddie Guerrero retains over JBL in that regard at the Great American Bash, and we get Eddie versus Undertaker 1-on-1, which we never got. That's a new match,
absolutely,
and it would have been a classic.
Held off the steel cage match until SummerSlam. Just saying.
Could have done that. Could have added another stipulation, but they didn't do that. The only thing you remember about this WWE Championship match is the aftermath. If you want to describe this for the viewers.
Yeah, I was gonna say this wasn't really about the finish. They wanted you to remember what happened afterward. So Taker is about to leave, and that's where you get the iconic shot of him looking over his shoulder, because he looks over his shoulder, stares at JBL, grabs him, puts him on top of his limousine, and you see where it's gigged already. You already know where this is going. He choke slams him through the limo.
Yes. That was a cool visual. But yeah, Taker does the eye roll.
Yeah, as JBL is getting stretchered off, Jordan makes sure to go back and get his precious title, and JBL cuddles his title as he gets taken to the hospital.
Holding on to it like it's this holy grail or something, but
okay, fine. 2 stars. 2 stars. I'll meet you halfway. 2 stars.
Fair enough. I don't want to judge you too hard, obviously, because we're just two guys sharing opinions, but I don't know, man. Sure. This match was not good enough to be 2.5 for me, at least. But
sometimes I need to get talked down.
Okay. Well, that's a great transition into this main event, announced by Howard Finkel, by the way, because remember, Lillian Garcia taken out of commission in the Triple H Eugene match, but we have Chris Benoit defending the World Heavyweight Championship against Randy Orton. Randy Orton got this title match basically because he won a Battle Royal on Raw, and now he's trying to break Brock Lesnar's record that was set 2 years prior of being the youngest world champion of all time. Since Brock Lesnar just left the promotion, the writing was pretty much on the wall, and I should have seen this coming from a mile away as a kid. But
they wanted to erase Lesnar's record immediately.
Mm-hmm.
WWE wanted no fucking business to do with Lesnar.
Talk about petty.
Yeah.
Talk about pettiness. But Randy, like, these two have a good match too. But unfortunately, this is forgotten.
First issue with this match. It's the main event of SummerSlam. No hype package. No hype from the announcers. Just, oh yeah, that was really terrible what happened in the WWE Championship match. Randy Orton's music. Like it was a segue. The main fucking event of SummerSlam. No in-ring introductions, no hype video. It's like they just wanted to get this match over with.
It's like so rushed, man. Like I didn't get it. I didn't get it because these two worked really hard. They really did. Well, Benoit, that goes without saying. Anytime Chris Benoit's in a match, he's going to be, busting his ass. Randy Orton met him, though. At 24 years old, I don't care what you say about the match at Vengeance, but that guy was a hard worker. I don't care if people say he was given the keys to the kingdom, but
this match was a million times better than Vengeance.
Fair. That's fair. And I can give you that one. But, yeah, this was... this very, very forgettable main event, all things considered. And you notice why...
Yeah, it really was. And I hate saying that because it was a good match.
Well, it's obvious. It's obvious why this match is not hyped up, mainly because one of the combatants is a murderer. But it's Randy Orton.
Randy Orton can never talk about his first world title win.
Which is so sad. It's not his fault. It's not his fault that he can't do it. But
no, absolutely not. There is one spot in this match that I remember as a kid, and for some reason, when I was a kid, I thought this was brutal. I thought it was the most vicious thing I ever saw. And when I rewatched it this night, I realized, was I fucking stupid or something? So Orton's on the outside, and then Benoit goes for a suicide dive. And he misses, and he crashes into the barricade. For some reason, I remember that being a lot more brutal as a kid than it actually was. Like I
It was
remember I got
sick.
that DVD on Netflix back in the olden days when you got Netflix in the mail, and I watched that
Oh
match like
God.
100 times. And I remember I would like play that part in slow motion of
Oh,
Benoit just crashing into the barricade. There's some other
nuts.
nasty spots in this match, like Benoit going for the flying headbutt and Orton countering by putting both feet up.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Kicking Benoit right in the face. Randy Orton took 6 German suplexes, which again is not normal for a Benoit match for him to, go overboard and hit more than 3.
Which is nothing compared to how many Germans are hitting Brock Lesnar matches nowadays.
Oh God, man.
18 in 2014.
Suplex City, bitch. But yeah, so many damn suplexes. Benoit with the headbutt, of course, as you mentioned. It's such a Benoit, say what you want about him now, but he was a great seller. Absolutely.
Oh, he was.
Like Orton getting his feet up and Benoit selling it precisely. Like that's a great way to describe Benoit's work, I would say. It was very precise. It was very clean. He got every attention to detail down. And I think he carried this kid to a really good match. It's crazy calling Randy Orton a kid at this time, but
Orton locks in a sharpshooter
he
in
does.
Toronto in the main event of a world title match, and Earl Hebner's the referee.
Oh,
That
this
takes
crowd!
some fucking balls.
I'm
That
sure.
takes some balls.
I'm sure a bunch of people in this crowd in Toronto had heart attacks seeing that. And there was an obligatory "You screwed Brett" chant at. There was an obligatory "You screwed Brett" chant at Earl Hebner at the beginning of the match too, as he was presenting
You made a
the
you didn't even realize it.
Oh yeah, no heart attack. No, I know. I just chose to continue.
Okay, good. I got scared there for a second.
I didn't want to give you the satisfaction, son. But anyway, you get the classic call from JR that you hear on all the vines these days, because Randy Orton hits Chris Benoit with an RKO out of nowhere and pins Chris Benoit in the middle.
That's my issue with this finish. It really was out of fucking nowhere.
Yeah.
There was like no struggle at the end, no climax, just they're wrestling and then an RKO.
And Benoit's and just like that, Benoit's vindication for the 18-year odyssey and his journey put to a stop right here. Just like that. Randy Orton wins the world title because Randy Orton wins the world title because Vince McMahon is so petty that Brock Lesnar tried to join the Minnesota Vikings and he dared to leave him.
So I'm glad you brought that up. I think this is a good time to finally talk about this. Why did they give us that picture perfect ending of WrestleMania of Eddie Guerrero and Chris Benoit holding up the world titles just to have them both lose it by the summertime? Well, Vince said that they were not drawing.
Well, whose fault is that? It's not their fault.
Okay, let's chronicle both of their world title runs. Benoit wrestled a WrestleMania rematch at Backlash. He didn't even main event Bad Blood because that spot went to Triple H and Shawn Michaels. Another pay-per-view against Triple H.
The match went too fucking long. What?
And then by SummerSlam, no more title. Eddie Guerrero, excellent match with Kurt Angle at WrestleMania. Disqualification finish at Judgment Day. Lost the title at the Great American Bash.
All because Eddie was tired of the grind of being the champion.
Eddie's was a little more understandable, but you didn't even give these guys a chance to run with it. Like, give them a few more months and maybe, their title runs would have been a lot more memorable than they were. But now they're just kind of, hey, remember that one time they were champions? And this is the only time both of them ever touched world titles.
Yeah.
Not counting Benoit winning the WCW title in 2000. We don't talk about that.
Briefly. Very briefly. But this is a very good main event considering the fact that Vince was not treating this as important as he should have. But
3 3/4.
Yeah, I'll match it. 3 3/4. It was very well wrestled. I think Randy Orton certainly, met up to Benoit's standards of work ethic. But after the match is where things get a little bit interesting because Randy's celebrating with the big gold belt. Benoit is absolutely crushed on the outside, but he is going to take the high road. He goes back into the ring. You think he's going to attack Randy Orton, extends his hand and tells Randy Orton to be a man. And that's a great line right there. Benoit telling Orton to be a man and shake his hand. It's a pretty big coming of age right there. Because Randy Orton is just 24 years old, you know? And he shakes Benoit's hand, thanks him for the match.
You know what's crazy? Orton did that. What was he doing 4 months prior? Going through hell with Mick Foley. Because he was the disrespectful little shithead. Character development.
Absolutely, character development. He should be a great face of the company that's going to carry this World Heavyweight Championship for many months to come. Oh, wait.
More on that later. All I'm going to say is don't get too comfortable with this. It's a great moment. It's a great accomplishment for him, but
and
the reign of terror ain't over yet.
Just a preview for the Unforgiven podcast, guys. Randy Orton would have held this world title for a lot longer, and we would have had a very compelling build to WrestleMania 21. All if you assholes did not cheer Hulk Hogan beating Triple H at Backlash 2002. That is a callback.
I hope you enjoyed your little break from the Reign of Terror, because it's going to continue for just a little bit longer.
Stay tuned for Unforgiven 2004 next month on this pod. But
SummerSlam 2004. I feel like it was very underwhelming.
Oh, yeah.
You had 2 good matches. The rest of the matches were rushed, booked badly, and were very forgettable. I'm going to give it a 6.
I'm going to go with a 5.5.
Wow.
Yeah.
Damn, I thought I was being harsh giving it a 6.
This is one of the most forgettable SummerSlams of all time. And it's crazy because I know this show pretty well. I had the DVD a lot, and I watched it as a kid. But there are a lot better shows that I was gravitating towards over this.
A forgettable SummerSlam, and it's a SummerSlam WWE does not want you to remember.
Nope, mainly because of the main event, and it's sadly one that can't be remembered for Randy Orton's monumental victory because of his opponent. But in any case, guys, hit that subscribe button. If you're new, hit that thumbs up as well. It would be greatly appreciated. Tomas, how do we get here? Up next is our show number 100. Jesus.
It's this year's Royal Rumble.
Yep.
A lot to talk about.
Adrenaline in my soul. Please enter the Rumble at number 2 and win the whole thing.
Cody Rhodes?
Yeah.
Okay, just wanted to make sure.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So those are the lyrics. This whole time I've been saying something Cody Rhodes.
No, this whole time I was saying tore his pec right off the bone. But in any case, guys, Royal Rumble 2023 coming up soon. You voted in Royal Rumble 2001, and we will get to that, but it'll take some time to get this stuff out. But
like I said, we're in a show. I'm getting over a cold. Thanks for putting up with me tonight.
All right, guys.
Get back on this.
See you guys next time. It'll be fun. Happy 100, Tomas.